Welcome to Sonder Sounds, a podcast where curiosity meets connection. Join me, your host Brandon Howard, and a dynamic team of co-hosts as we dive into candid conversations with friends, family, and fascinating individuals from all walks of life. Okay, welcome back for another episode of Sonder Sounds Podcast. I am here joined with none other than
Charity Smith. Yes.
Hey, that's crazy. I was like, Charity Smith. And for those of you who don't know, Charity recently got married to the love of her life. Congratulations on that again.
Thank you.
Okay. Charity is going to be one of the three other co-hosts that are going to be included on this show. So super dope. For those of you who also don't know, Charity and I are family. We're cousins. So it's going to be super good and fun to be able to work together creatively in this space. And today is, just about getting to know her as a person. And, in the future, when you laughing or you choose her as your favorite podcaster on the episodes, you can know a little more about her. So I'll get into the questions. Tell me what's good.
Yeah. So as far as what's going good in my life, I'll say, like Brandon mentioned, I recently got married. So I'm still on the high of that. And just looking forward to the future and all the, opportunities that come with that. Actually feeling good about having a partner that sees the world the same way that I do as far as ambition and things. And yeah, so really I would say what's good is feeling just like secure in where I'm at. Took a long time to get here. I'm 31. So it took 31 years to feel this secure, and I'm just happy with, how life is going right now. No complaints.
That's great, man. You make me feel terrible about my life.
Chill on my cousin.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna get into the questions now. What attracted you to the opportunity to hop on the podcast? Because I know I reached out to you about it, but what made it interesting for you, or what made you want to do it?
Yeah, I would say just me and you growing up, we've always had good debates about any and everything, and it would just be super random. But I felt like there were conversations that I know everybody says the world needs to hear to have a different perspective. But no, I mean, we both, even though we were raised, similar families, we both have different perspectives. You being a male, me being a female, us going to the same school. No. Let's hope for my husband's sake.
Oh no. I'm sorry, Chris.
But yeah, just being able to share our perspectives as we go throughout life as well. Because I feel like sometimes you watch these other podcasters, and this is not a dish or anything, but they speak from a place of I already got everything figured out already. This is my perspective. Y'all should listen to it because I'm the expert in this space. And what I admire about what you're trying to do and the guests and stuff that you plan to bring on is we're all building, we're all grinding, we're all on the stage where we're figuring it out. We're not the expert on it. So this opens up dialogue to really allow different perspectives and see things from a different light. So yeah, that's what attracted me to podcasting.
All right. That's awesome. Like Charity mentioned, I feel like we got hours on hours of talk time on the phone where I'm just man, imagine if we just had a podcast episode and it was a 2-hour conversation.
Yeah.
Some of that would have been good, right?
Yeah. That's the other thing too. We come from a really funny family. Oh. There's so much untapped gold that I know we'll probably get yelled at for later if we reveal it.
We ain't editing that out.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is a silly question to ask you particularly, but how did we meet?
Hey, birth. Nah, I mean, yeah, pretty much birth. Our parents, our brother and sister, and of course I came first because I'm the realest. And then, when my brother came along, and then you came along, Anthony came along, us being babysat together at grandma's house and watching the Little Rascals and stuff. That's really where it all started.
Yeah. And I have too many memories. We can maybe talk about. I'll add that in this. Let's name one funny memory we have from growing up together. I have too many. I'll let you go first.
Dang, let me think. I remember there was one time, I think we had all got skateboards or something, and we was at our me and O'Neill's old house. I was back on East Hill, and we're all being bad, like riding our bikes, riding our skateboards down this big hill, right? I just remember I'm going down, I fall off my skateboard. Here you come, you run over me. Then here comes O'Neal, he runs over me and you. And then you just see Anthony at the bottom of the hill just shaking his head.
out of dangerous ways.
Yeah. Hey, he's always been risk tolerant.
Oh my god. Oh, that's funny, bro. Was that the day O'Neal chipped his teeth?
Yes.
This dude O'Neal fell over the. Oh, that was funny. Hey, sorry, we're laughing at your expense, O'Neal. Okay, you know the funniest memory I have growing up is when, and it's super simple, but it's when we were watching. I don't know what show it was. Maybe it was Billy and Mandy, and it was a commercial. And there was this game called Gourmety.
Yeah, Gourmety.
And we used to do the voice. We used to do the voice like Gourmety forever. Like we're 30 now, and we still say it. I'm talking. We were like 9, 10 years old, and every time I say Gourmety, Charity will just die laughing.
Yeah, hey, that's another episode for another day. Like 90s cartoons are undefeated, man.
Oh, yes.
Like there were so many subliminals in there that we should have not have caught, but we did.
And just it's an inside joke for life, right?
Yep.
All right. So on to the next. What is something that you're focused on, whether it's self or something about the world or anything along that topic? Like what is something that you're focused on these days or that's on your mind?
Yeah, for me, I'm just like, this sounds very cliche to say, but I'm just like in a growth mindset, like now again, having, a partner to go throughout life with and having somebody that I would say like I'm a super detail oriented person and he's more bigger picture. So having that bigger picture person to kind of help me plan out life. And for me personally, that's both career, that's like future family planning, that's like financial management. So just like focusing on growth in all of those areas and being open, I would say for me, something that I've always kind of lacked is a networking aspect of it. I always like, I know I'm a sociable person, but that's like when I get around my friends and stuff, that's when I'm like happy talking and all the other stuff. But I realize as I get older and working, like you got to network. So that's something that I know I'm constantly working on within myself to just put myself in those uncomfortable spaces, having a mission in mind, but also just continuing to be myself and not feel like I got to change up, dim my light or whatever it is, to be able to fit into these spaces. Like, for example, in past jobs, I would never have wore my hair out in an afro, right? Because I didn't want to get all the questions and all that other stuff. Now that I switched careers more in the academic space, like I come to work authentically myself. I can have an afro one day, braids another day, and I'm attending these networking events as such, right? So I would say in that mindset, just growing, networking. And then as far as the world is concerned, there's a lot going on in the world right now.
Really?
And I don't know how political we about to get. But I would say, being that there's a lot of just corruption and uncertainty in the world and a lot of the things center around our history being erased, I'm trying to honestly build my own like library of like Black facts. You know what I'm saying? Black books. Black authors, Black articles, Black everything, because it's gotten to a point where, you look in different states and they're talking about literally removing these history classes from, elementary, middle, high school, those levels where that's where we learned it the most, right? So for me, like knowing that that's what's going on in the world, knowing that we don't necessarily have a voice in the current political system, I'm focused on how do I insulate that and make sure that our legacy lives on and that our history and our heritage is told from generation to generation. So, and that comes from, finding the books, that my parents used to read to me when I was a kid, seeing if they're still on Amazon so I can buy them back, all that other stuff. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
No, that's powerful. Like, I want to touch on a couple points, but the most recent point you said, and maybe we've family, so maybe we have a similar thought process. I've had that thought individually on my own, like collecting books, right? Or in college, I did more independent research on like, just trying to discover Blackness and what it kind of meant for me. But it seems like an innate thing almost, because I know other folks that aren't necessarily family members of mine, and they've done the same thing and they've come to the same conclusion based off of conversations I've had with them. Now, maybe it's limited to the deeper thinkers and the people that do kind of question the environment around them. And by no means do I think it's an effort to like stay in the past. I think it's all about, I think it's a lot of it's about trying to just remember what happened and also use that for the future for yourself and how to like carry yourself, like who you are, right? Because we're in a world where, we function through this world as Black people. So we got to know what it feels like to have been Black throughout the history of America, to know like what are we doing now? Because there's days I wake up and I'm like, what do I want to do? Just me individually. And then when I find myself in spaces where people look like me or we like the same things, I'm like, okay, I feel comfortable with that. But it's like a spark, right? You like, or not a spark, like a flash in the pan. And so you're like, dang, like how do I re-get with that? And I feel like just knowing about your people and knowing how your people congregated and seeing like, dang, there's so many similarities. Yeah, it's 2025. It's not the same as like in the early 1900s or whenever they were able to have juke joints or whatever. But there was a lot of spaces that Black folks like inhabited together and they enjoyed, and it's similar now. It's just a different day and age. It looks different. We wearing different clothes. But it's the same spirit. It's the same culture. So that to that point, I feel like there's something like you can call it spiritual, like genetic about it to want to do that, to want to reach out. And for me, I want to reach out for the knowledge, and I want to reach out for like just for my kids too. Like I don't even read that much, but I have a tote right now full of books, and I'm planning on making it more. I want to just have it for my kids, and I want to have a big library shelf. And be like, read whatever you want. And it's all kinds of books. It's not just Black books, but I want them to have access to that. And if they enjoy reading, I want them to enjoy it. And it's no knock to my parents. I think they raised me well, but that wasn't something that was pushed. Like reading, and I don't want to push it on them, but I do want to provide access to it. The same way you give them a video game system, like here's books. We're gonna have a basketball hoop outside or somewhere to go outside and play. Like I want them to experience like as much of the world as they can, and not just be like, oh, we're gonna do this one thing. This is what we're gonna be good at. Like no way, like because that's a part of the Black experience too, is being multifaceted and multidimensional. So,
yeah, exactly.
To that point, I definitely like that's my statement towards that. But from what you were saying earlier, just networking. I'm in the early. You're definitely doing it in work and everyday life. I'm kind of getting to that point now in my career where I'm realizing the value of networking. Like I said, I can make friends or I can socialize with my homies and stuff real easy, but I never put that effort in to socialize in a networking capacity for a career or even educational like advancement. And I'm realizing like, dang, I should have put more time into that when I was younger, but ain't no time like the present, right?
Right. And I feel like too, for me, it was like a mindset thing. I'll be honest, like I'm like, why do I need to go to these happy hours to smile in somebody's face that I really don't care? You know what I'm saying? But that's like a negative, honestly, it's a negative mindset to have, right? Because you don't know what you could connect with these people on that has literally nothing to do with whatever career or business are you in. You just connect because maybe y'all both like to golf, or like y'all both, watch SpongeBob or something. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you find random, because me and you, we randomly watch SpongeBob. So just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and realizing that it's honestly actually very heartwarming to know that you can make connections based off of like your personality and your characteristics in something that's cutthroat as the business world, right? I wasn't looking at it from that mindset though. I thought of it more as a chore than an opportunity. Now that I get older, I'm like, okay, like, they're people just like we are. There's no reason to be intimidated. There's no reason to be disgusted. There's no reason to be any of that. Just talk to them on your level,
And I think what goes with that, and again, it's probably because I'm getting older, it's so easy to get into a negative mindset. And even that in itself is easy. And if you tap in with yourself and you're really locked in with who you are as a person, if you feel like it's easy to kind of keep doing that thing, ask yourself, why is it so easy? Is it because you put in a lot of work and you practice so well that it's like routine? Or is it because, like you said, with networking, right? Like I was like, man, I don't want to talk to these people. Negative mindset. I had a negative experience at work. It's going to be negative with them outside of work. Why would I connect with them?
Right.
And again, I'm in my baby stages of establishing myself as a professional adult. I think I've worked in a professional environment, but I've just kind of went to work, clocked in, clocked out, left. And there is some power to keeping your personal life and your work life separate.
Boundaries,
But like you said, just connecting. I've connected with coworkers at work because I coach track, and they kids run track, so they ask me like, "Hey man, what you think?" And it's crazy. Like they pull me to the side, like, "Hey Brandon, can I talk to you for a minute?" At first, I'm like, "Dang man." Negative mindset, right? Hey, like my daughter runs a 400. I know you said you could, and I'm like, yo, And we had like a whole hour conversation
about
like,
that,
But again, and I was even wrong for having it. Like, man, he called me over. Maybe he gonna say I did something wrong, or he seen me do something. But he wasn't. He was just trying to chop it up with me. Where people like, I said I'm going on a trip to Japan later this year. This one dude, man, I lived in Japan for like first 8 years of my life.
Yep.
Talking to me about where I should go, like stuff like that. Just, and again, that's just at work networking, but after work, going to company happy hours, and the same kind of vibe happens. Again, I'm in my baby stages, so I ain't got a lot of experiences.
No, it's all good though. It's all good. And then also understanding too, like networking can happen anywhere. Like I remember, like like random, but like me and you was playing basketball, like a couple months ago, and we literally just saw a kid with a UCI shirt, and we're like, hey, what's up?
Y'all mad because we ant eaters, right. Or we're mad because we're ant eaters. I don't know.
And literally we're just, playing hoops with him, and then had a conversation about like what he's doing at UCI, and he's like, hey, I'm an engineer. And you never know, like he might end up somewhere as an engineer somewhere, and then remember, I hoop with them. You just never know what can come out of it. So, and I guess that also goes back to just being a kind person, a good person to anybody and everybody that you meet as well. Because you never know.
Charity crossed him up, bro. I don't know. He might not mess with us. Nah, but no, you're right. Like it happens anywhere. And again, like we're pretty sociable people. We don't have that level of awkwardness that we have to battle through daily. And so like, why not use it? Not for selfish advancement, but that's what you use it for. Like your parents, our parents didn't bring us up in the environment they did for us to be timid and afraid of opportunity.
Yep.
And also, we're educated people. You're highly educated.
That's right.
Yeah. For real. And like that's just, think about it. There's a lot of folks that are educated at your level, and they don't got it. They don't got the personality. And it's no knock to them. They're still great at what they do, but being educated and being sociable and being like athletically talented and all, just having like all the, like, that's just more tools to put in your tool belt, right? And again, life is for you to want, right? It's whatever you want, but it's also like when you look at how you present to the world, because we all think about it, regardless of someone say, I don't care what nobody think.
Yeah. You
want to be approachable. You want to be like, you want to be able to like multidimensional ultimately, I think personally, that's my goal in life. I don't want to be in a bunch of environments where I'm always like nervous or like, man, what do I do? I want to be like, oh, I got some familiarity here. Or, hey, I don't know what this is about, but I'm down for it.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
yep. Yeah. And I feel like too, going to the point you said about just being sociable and stuff in general, that I feel like somewhere that our parents did a great job, and I feel like even the parents up and coming, team sports.
Yes.
Team sports, it's invaluable. Don't get me wrong. Like, me and you came up in track and field. In a way, it was individual, but at the same time, you did have to make connections for your relay to score points.
Hey,
for
Mercury
your team.
made it a team, bro. Hey,
you live together, you die together.
If you get in trouble, I will not punish him. I will punish all of you. Hey, bro.
And one of you looks or sounds bad. We all look and sound bad. What's the concept?
Hey, one band, one sound. Hey, for real, it really used to be on that.
Yeah, but
I thought track was a team sport. For sure, you ran it individually,
exactly,
but you ran it for your friends, your homies, like your team. Like you didn't want to look bad out there because y'all was all wearing a little African colored one piece.
Yeah, exactly.
One piece suits.
But all those sociable skills, I feel like we picked up, at an early age, just because of the fact that we were put in team sports, and it forced us to have to be able to talk to people our age, be able to talk to elders and coaches, be able to accept losses, be able to be a humble winner, things of that nature. So I feel like team sports really set the foundation for how we're able to be sociable in this day and age.
Accepting losses is super, I think, important.
Yeah.
So is this your first year coaching?
Yeah.
So you in your first year coaching at the high school level, this is my third year. And that's something, there's more things, but that's something and that could be a topic for a whole different conversation, like experience as a coach, but seeing the youth and I enjoy it. I enjoy coaching like the young adults, getting to be real with them and relatable in a way that some adults aren't with them. But accepting losses is a hard concept, at least in the spaces I've been in. I'm not gonna say every kid's like that. I don't want to speak in general terms either, but what I've experienced so far is like, dang, like the kids don't know how to lose the right way.
Yep.
Because in my opinion, I didn't learn how to lose the right way until I got to college, actually. And I learned it through myself. When I was younger, I knew how to accept the loss. Like, you lose games, but I was the type that I struggled with frustration and anger when I was younger. So I would be mad, right? And my coaches gave me, you got the 30-minute rule, Howard. After 30 minutes, not only do I not care about the attitude you got, because you need to move forward and get on it. And that was more so track. You can't take 30 minutes in a football game. Like,
right,
you gotta
exactly.
But
the game over by that point.
Yeah, exactly. It's a blowout. Yeah.
Prep skin paper report. Brandon Howard is still sulking on the sideline.
2025. Hey, we got stuff in store for y'all too. Hey, we ain't gonna keep tangenting. But really, what I'm trying to say is, yeah, like I used to take the losses with frustration, and then when I got in college, I learned, because I had a certain kind of dynamic with the coach that I had to learn how to figure it out on my own in ways. And a little bit in the beginning of college, freshman, sophomore year, I still had a bit of that older mentality. I'm frustrated. I'm going to go on a drive. I'm going to pedal, like drive fast through a neighborhood to settle my frustrations, or run really hard after, and some of those aren't healthy ways to cope. Right. And then I realized, you know what I could do after each race? I can have a conversation with myself. What do you feel like went wrong? What do you feel like you misexecuted? And being a hurdler, I hurdled in college. You got to be really like, I tell my athletes, to be a good hurdler, you got to know what you messed up on. Your coach is there to help you out. Yeah. But the best hurdle coaches, they'll ask, what do you think you did wrong? Yep. My trail leg. Yep. My lead arm. Like, you need to be able to say, or I misstepped, I shortened up, I second guessed myself. And when you can say that, you can advance. And so I took it into life, like, dang, like, if I'm just a student of like what just happened, like if I get into something at work, instead of being like, oh man, they're always on me. Now there's some moments where you may actually not have done something, but what caused that? What set your situation up to put you in that position to where you're in trouble, or you're being reprimanded, or you're in an awkward spot in a relationship even, or in your friendships. And it's like, if you can detail out what led you there, then that's one step. And then the step before that is like, okay, if you can notice it, like, are you communicating about it? Or are you waiting until it builds up and then you blow up, right? Like, and there's just so many avenues you can go with that. But struggling in college and losing and not achieving some of the heights I wanted to achieve helped me in ways as an adult. And I'm still like, there's been times where I was really good at this. Yeah. And I would say now I'm getting better, but I'm in a struggle phase of that. And so I'll say, like, you will go through times where you're doing really well, and you are someone that you're proud of in a certain capacity. But as a human, you kind of get distracted by something else and you lose some ground somewhere. Yep. But as long as you remember what helped you get back to a healthy spot, like, so that's the thing. Sports, directly/indirectly, sports has helped me learn that. And that was just through like thought. That didn't happen in one day. It was like years, and you're like, dang, man, what were times where I was frustrated like this? Yep. You think like, oh shoot, when I lost this race, or lost this game. And you may be referring to a relationship you're going through, but you're like, you felt just as frustrated, right? Right. How did you handle it? When was the time you handled it healthily? Yep. Or if you don't, like, what you going to do?
An important thing you said just in that as well is the student athlete part of it. Like, being a student of your craft. Oh my gosh. If there is one thing that I could just like brand in the foreheads of these athletes these
days. Coach tattooing foreheads. Right. Like, this just in on KUSI.
But no, for real, but being a student athlete versus like a college athlete or a high school athlete, right? That student athlete part is big. People just think when you say student, oh, school, books, etc. No, being a student of your sport. I feel like football and basketball do a great job of this because they study film, right? Yeah. They do, they look at not only the competition, but how they're doing or how they did in the last game where they can improve. Something like track and field, unless you have somebody filming you, it doesn't really click for you to look back at what you did, right? Yep. So, for example, like I coach sprints and jumps. With jumps, I'm like, I'm sending them their film, and I'm like, at the next practice, I want you to tell me why, you felt like that jump felt short or whatever it is. And they're like, oh, my hip. From now on, it's like, oh yeah, coach, I noticed that my knee, wasn't high enough when I was first driving out, or I didn't hold the hang long enough, or whatever it is, right? And to your point of, they're reflecting on their past actions, or they're reflecting on something that they might have messed up on or made mistakes on. That is going to set them up to be better adults, because like you said, corporate America, relationships, etc. If you don't have the capacity to be a student of whatever you're doing and reflect on your part in something, then you're always going to think you're never wrong.
You're never going to grow.
You're never going to grow.
And it's tough. That's tough, to be honest. Like, accountability is tough to swallow in the moment because it's attacking your ego. And your ego is this crazy thing that exists inside of you that makes you special and unique and makes you, but it also makes you like kind of hard to be around. Yeah. Kind of hard to work with, to live with, to be with, to hang out with. And a friend of mine years ago, we were having a conversation, And I was like, hey, man, you know what? I realized something about myself. Like, when you tell me something about myself, for the first 1 to 2 seconds of you saying that, I'm like annoyed,
Defensive,
furious,
yep.
defensive.
Mm-hmm.
I said, but if I can just hold out for a second or two, I know you love me and you're just trying to tell me, like, you're not my friends, at least.
Yep.
The friends that I keep close,
Yeah.
I know they're not trying to hurt me.
Yeah.
And so when I said that, he was like, oh, you know what? You're right. And I said, look, we're going to struggle with it. I'm telling you right now, it frustrates me to hear it, but I think that'll help us continue to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And even that, like having that conversation with your friend and being able to say that, like, because I'm not saying guys don't do it. Guys have a multitude of relationships, right? But I know being a man, like growing up, there's certain conversations you don't have or things you don't say, like, oh, we boys. Like communicating, like even communicating, like, hey, man, when you say it, it hurts my feelings, but I know you love me.
Mm-hmm.
Like hearing your boy say that to you, that's powerful versus thinking that and kind of like thinking it with frustration and kind of just, I ain't gonna say nothing.
Yep. That's emotional intelligence. Communication tied with emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
You know,
so
I hope everybody gets to reach that point someday because there are still some immature people out here that don't understand the importance of being able to take constructive criticism.
Because we're experts on the subject.
Hey, no, but that's something I'm still working on to this day, even in my own relationship, like even in my own marriage. Like, I'll be ready to punch him. Like, what you say? I'll be like, oh, hold on, you're right.
Let's have 911 on standby, guys. Continue, Charity.
Right. This phone call isn't tapped.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, no, for real, being able to just like knowing that they're your loved ones and they only have the best intentions of you, I feel like is very important as well. I would say too, that's what always made me skeptical of anybody that wasn't close to me that was giving me constructive criticism, whether it be like a supervisor or, you know, just whoever, that I'm like, bro, you don't know me enough to be able to tell me about myself. But it's like, who are you to say that they're not either? You know what I'm saying? Like if they're evaluating you based off of like a certain metric or something that you're supposed to be delivering for them or to them or whatever it is, and you can't be open to like actually fixing it to get better, then what's the problem, right? So
yeah, no, that's powerful. And again, that could be a whole topic within itself. So I think we addressed it greatly enough. We'll move on to the next question. What is something that's inspired you recently?
Something that has inspired me recently. Actually, one of my students. So for those who don't know, I'm an adjunct professor right now. I'm not gonna tell you which school, so y'all don't, stalk me or something like that. But I'm an adjunct professor right now, and one
Shorty,
of my...
we love you.
Like show up with signs and stuff in class. But yeah, one of my students, throughout the semester, she was kind of struggling. She got it together. We had a couple office hours and she got it together. But then she started coming to me just about like her personal professional decisions, right? Because, with undergrad, they're trying to figure out their lives. Like, what do I actually want to do with my life and stuff like that? And I know she was faced with a hard decision choosing between 2 internships, but she was just like, yeah, I thought about what you said. I did my research. I did this and I did that. And I decided to go with this, just like this. And if it doesn't work out, I'm gonna try something else, right? And to me, what inspired me about it was just like the tenacity to know like, hey, if this doesn't work out, like I can still try something else. I feel like, the older we get, we kind of feel like we're running out of time. We're running out of opportunities, but literally life is trial and error. Mm-hmm. You're never too old to start something new or to start over or to try a new career or try a new relationship or whatever it is. Right. So I feel like that's what inspired me. Yeah, that's what inspired me recently. Yeah.
No, that's powerful, to be honest. And also you just being a teacher and being able to see that. I'm not a teacher. I'm a coach. So in a way I teach, but I'd imagine that because the world is not perfect or near perfect, there is a lot of teachers that do not do a good job of acknowledging that or being inspired by that and wanting to do more for that student or that class or whatever sphere of influence you have. That's something I've made decisions in life that would allude to, Brennan, like he lives his life. He's trying to do things, but then I've also made decisions that have locked me in because that fear of like, oh, it is getting late, or through conversations with family, like, oh, they're right. I need to find something consistent. Yeah. And don't get me wrong. I do want some consistency, but I want my consistency. I don't want, this 9 to 5 that's going to pay me this pension. Like that doesn't excite me. What excites me is doing this podcast. Whether I make money off of it or not, like this excites me. This makes life worthwhile, putting time into this. But spending every day 9 to 5 stressed out from work, so you play video games, not even in a way where you're enjoying them, just stress relief. And then you wake up the next day, do it again. That's not a life to live. Or you're working out because you don't want to be overweight, not because you enjoy the workout or you enjoy what you're doing, like stuff like that. And I've taken steps in life, like I don't just run mileage, right? Like I'll do a run club here and there, I run with some friends, but I like playing basketball for cardio or strength. I don't want to just be in the gym because that doesn't excite me to just be in the gym benching, but I'll rock climb. Like stuff like that, or I'll bike. Like I do different things because it's exciting to me to make that portion of life, or just with it all. So like, I feel like that is a super important part. I'm about to be 30 in a week. That's crazy, he's 30. He's 30. Oh man. So, but you know what I mean? And I'll never give that part of my life up, which is doing the things that I enjoy. And to some people, they're like, man, this dude ride bikes. Like this black dude ride bikes. He rock climbs, or he does. And I don't do it to try to come off different to everybody. It's just,
something you want to do, like something
things I grew up wanting to do.
But you don't even know how many people you inspire, and just from doing that, like I'm so tired of hearing like black people don't do that. Like, what do you mean, bro? Like, if you're living and breathing, like you can do anything. You know what I'm saying? Oh, something else that had inspired me that I was gonna say, I'm not gonna mention her name or anything like that, but I have a really close friend who has a beautiful family, 3 kids, husband, and everything, and they're deciding to live in a different country every 2 years with their children.
Okay.
And I'm like, at first, everybody's probably like, oh man, that's crazy. Like the kids need something stable, all this other stuff. But just like, they are stable. That's their family. And the fact that those kids are going to have the journey of a lifetime, picking up on so many different cultures, so many different education styles, and just life, all these different life experiences. And the fact it's just that super inspiring to me. Cause like, people always say, like, oh, once you have kids, your life is over. Like, it all goes with the kids. But here they are creating an environment for their kids that shows them, like, you can experience all of these different cultures, and mommy and daddy will be here to do it with you. And we're also getting something out of it as well. Like, none of our lives are over. If anything, we're all growing together.
And I don't know their whole family situation, but I'm not going to say breaking generational curses, but it's establishing new generational like habits. Like, and it may not be that they're going to do that with their kids, are going to do that with their kids, but the world is their oyster, and they know that now, literally, because they're like, my parents made it so that the world is our oyster, and like we got to see and do all this beautiful stuff, and I got to learn about myself. I got to learn about other people that may look like me or look different than me, and like when they come back, if they ever decide to come back to America, like they're going to be way more cultured than everybody else that they with. And they probably going to have a better perspective. And they're going to see stuff, and they're going to be, I think, better people because of it. I think, some people.
More tolerant, I feel like, more humble, more just aware, self-aware.
And they're going to see stuff playing out on a larger scale, and they're going to really know, like, what's real. Like, no, this is actually how it's like, or, hey, like, this is important that we're addressing this, That's, I remember you was telling me about that. That to me, like, that's something I'm getting into this year. Like I've committed myself to just traveling. I've always wanted to, but like I'm going to New York the week after my birthday, just cause 4th of July, we heading out to Arizona, right? Trying to go to Japan. I'm trying to go to Amsterdam this year. Like I'm just doing it instead of being like, well, I got work, and work gonna be there.
Exactly.
I spent too much time not, I got money. Why not spend it? I'm not trying to spend it all and have zero, but
you work to live. You don't live to work.
Exactly. Yep. And that's my goal in life. And obviously, as I move throughout my career and I get into positions where I feel more comfortable, and hopefully enough of y'all follow this podcast.
Right.
Hey, I'm so serious though. But like, if this pops off, like I would love to travel the world talking to people, random people. I don't want to just, no, don't get me wrong. If I meet, people who are established or famous, I would love to have them on the show. But I want to talk to people like how I'm talking to you.
People,
Like I want to talk to everyday people from different countries. I want to talk to everyday people like that are doing things that you're like, man, what is that person doing today? And like, I've just always wanted to just talk to people, like ultimately, because it's for my knowledge, because this conversation, I'm learning something from what we're talking about. But beyond that, it's like, dang, I get to like let people in on a conversation that I felt had value. And maybe only a couple people like it. Maybe a lot of people like it. But that's kind of the goal here anyway, is to just talk and have genuine conversations with folks. Like, that's super powerful.
It's not
scripted. Not scripted. Hey, it's really not. Like, I mean, I'm asking questions, but it's just very bare bones. I know. I was going on a rampage like this week. Man, okay, how do you set up a podcast? They're like, make a script and do all this. And that's not wrong.
Yeah.
There's people that do that and that works for them. I'm really good at talking. I don't feel uncomfortable with talking. So I know I can ask a question and we can be 35 minutes into a podcast, 34 minutes into a podcast, and just be talking. And we're shooting the crap, elaborating on points that we hear, and just having like a genuine. And this is how more or less Charity and I talk. It ain't obviously, I'm not asking her scripted questions. Right. What do you do on a Sunday?
I'm all hooked up to a lie detector test.
You lying? No, but you know what I mean. Like this is how our conversations go, and then an hour pass, and then one of us be like, "All right, all right, I gotta get out of here now." But you know, so
yeah,
no, definitely those are very inspiring things for sure. So we are gonna go to our last question, which is something that we briefly had a conversation about, and we saved it, the juicy parts of it, for this podcast. Hot topic question. And it's going to be about the show Forever on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So I'll let you take it away, Charity.
Okay, so for those of you, well, we're not going to like spoil the entire thing for you, but if y'all haven't seen it yet, please see the show Forever on Netflix. It's such just like a coming of age, beautiful like Black love story about two teenagers just trying to figure it out, navigate high school, navigate love. But what I feel like, and me and Brandon are going to talk about it today, there's a bunch of important tropes in there. From the parental standpoint, from navigating, like we talked about, like a relationship, and then also standing in your own, and how do you deal with conflict as well. So there are a lot of just important themes, a lot of important tropes that like really spark conversation between me and Brandon, which is why we wanted to talk today about it on the podcast. So I guess, the first thing I would ask you was like, what was your perception of the parents, like what their dynamic was? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you feel like one was less involved or one was too involved? What did you think of the parents?
Yeah. So I'll go with one of the main characters, Keisha, her mom. And honestly, I'm gonna be real, I'm not gonna spoil details of the show, but if you really want to watch the show, pause it here and watch the show and then tap back in, because I am gonna say things that are gonna kind of give away like reactions to certain events of the show. Keisha's mom, they kind of protected her character and how she would really be based off of what happened with her in the show. And the mom was she straight up worked 2 jobs so her daughter could go to that private school.
Yep.
And the story that was kind of told to her is like, she was dealing with some stuff that had to do with like her feeling alone, like culturally, and just her being a woman, like all these things, right? And so her mom was supportive of her. And so you're like, dang, mom is like super down for her, and Keisha withholding all this stuff from her, and her mom's showing like she's so supportive. When she finally told her mom what was up, and her mom's response, you could tell that her mom was living life based off of her, and it made me like kind of think back to scenes throughout the show where her mom was like, even the little things she was saying about the basketball boy, like you got your man, like it was kind of like, you won. I lost,
make it out mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Right there, the make it out mindset. And those are things I peeped, but I wasn't really paying attention to because I was like more invested in Justin's family, who they highlighted early, right?
Yeah.
And so when her mom responded like that, it wasn't super surprising. But then when I thought back, I said, you know what? It kind of showed how she could have responded like that. And there's folks out there like that where they are trying their best for their kids, but they may not be doing what's best for their kids.
Yep.
And how they respond, like the response is super important, right? I think as kids, we remember our parents' responses to things we went through the most. And so, not to go into too much detail about it, but her response to Keisha when she told her what happened with her, that I was upset with the mom, but I wasn't like, I hate her character. I was just like, she's responding that way because she's been living her life through hurt.
Yes.
And she's not doing anything different than she's been doing. Her daughter is the source of not hurt for her.
Yep.
So when her daughter became a source of hurt or said something that is hurtful,
this is the one thing that I'm working towards, providing her everything I didn't have, giving her ultimate happiness. Like, exactly. I'm not enjoying my life to make sure she enjoys hers. And then the one that you put all of your effort into comes back and disappoints you. You're like, bro, what was all this for? And she literally said it. She was just like, I'm working 2 jobs for you to do this. And I feel like, to be honest, it's hard. It's unfair to judge her in that situation, just being a single parent, being a single mom.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure this is a conversation and stuff that like a lot of single moms kind of adjust with. Like, I am doing the best I can. So like, why wouldn't my kid try to but I think why Keisha decided to keep it from her for so long was that exact thing. She saw her mom putting all her hopes and dreams on her, and she didn't feel like she could let her down. So she was keeping all of this inside for fear that her mom might self-destruct if she ever found out, and she would just like,
And that's important. Like Keisha's, again, it's a show, but kid, this is real for us.
Yeah.
Right? Growing up, we see our parents, and I won't get into too much of my personal life, but there are things that I remember from my childhood that I seen my parents for. But I allowed myself to come off as a kid or ignorant because I didn't want them to see me see them. Because and that's almost in a way like how you learn. You know how you're dealing with ego as an adult, and you don't want anyone to see the true you. And when you experience real love, right, you could be the true you around that person. We work so hard to not show people who we are because we're scared to not be loved in return, i.e. Keisha, right?
Yep.
The fear, my mom's not, it's going to break her. It's going to ruin her.
Yep.
Whatever, every individual person has, they're not going to like me or want me or accept me because of that. So like that in itself is like a super deeper conversation.
Fear of rejection,
So with that's what I would comment on Keisha's mom. I think at the end of the day, they did a really good job of writing her character and showing her how
this was so realistic.
Yeah, like
so realistic.
It was realistic to someone who has the propensity to be healthy.
Yeah.
So it could have went way left, and her mom could have just kept going that route, and it could have been a typical stereotypical like trope on like what a single black woman is like. But it showed like the power of that, and then Community, which I'll go into.
Yeah.
It's Justin, right?
Yeah.
That's the name. Justin's family. They had an amazing dynamic where the mom, although I know it was for love, I do. For all those that watch the show, I'm not saying the mom didn't love him. She's wildin'. She was pressing like full court defense. And the dad was like, and again, I'm not saying this is how mom and dad dynamics are, because it could have been the opposite. They could have had the dad being hard on him about sports and being over this and that, and they could have had the mom be the nurturing, understanding one. But the father happened to be that role in this show. And it just take male and female out of it, the dynamic of having that, the opposing characteristics, but built with love. And that's another important thing about love to me. And that's another conversation. I think a lot of times people are going towards the thing that's similar to them because it makes them feel comfortable. But like, that's a perfect example of those are two opposite people.
Polar opposites.
But
you have a creative and you have a structured, like, and planned, organized everything, and he's more go with the flow. Hey, I think today I'll try this out. He's literally a chef, like trying new recipes, trying this, trying that. Like that's how he lives and breathes,
Absolutely, and it works so well. Again, it's a show; they're gonna write it in to meet the perfect scenario. But it's not just because it's a show; it can't be real. Like that can be real. That's a more or less real life scenario. Boy and a girl dating, going through troubles of high school. Girl may have some drama going on with her that the mom or parent may not know about, and other people know about it. Like the dynamic was amazing. Like, and because the dynamic was so amazing, I'm not as hard on the negatives that I experienced with hearing the mom necessarily like push for Justin to do the things she thought were the best for him. Yeah. Because he had that other parent that was like willing to be like, hey man, go see Keisha. Like go see her. Yep. And what, are you serious? Yeah. And he had to step in because that was the right thing to do in that moment. Yeah. You want to be a man? Let him do man stuff. And even, and I was telling you on the phone the other day, the little, like, it was okay to me that it happened in this way. They never did it with each other, never cursed each other out or anything. But when they walk away, she'd be like, damn, shit. Like under their breath. Yeah. Like, that's okay.
So real.
That's real. That's okay. That's actually healthy. Yeah. No, you don't want to, like, it's like, I'm frustrated, but I'm not about to, like, take it out on you. I'm walking away. Like,
let me go.
It was healthy. And it's also, like, very nostalgic.
Because
it's like,
we do that.
I think that's a healthy way to be frustrated.
Yeah.
An example of a healthy way. Like, and I know I said it before. I was like, that is a very, I remember those scenes because they both had a scene where they did that. Yeah. Like when he said, hey, go see Keisha, blah, blah. And he's like, shit. And he just sits on the couch next to her. You know what I mean? But he wasn't yelling at her like, like, woman. Like, he was just like, no, go do your thing. Like, and then even when Justin was talking to his pops, and he's like, let me talk to you. And he's like, you want a divorce, mom? And he's like, I need to let you know right now. If we ever got divorced, your mom left me. I love her. Yep. And he broke down like, why? Like, yeah, your mom's a lot, but a lot of people are scared to be around people that are a lot because they want so much more of us. Yeah. And then he alluded to some people are a lot.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting too? I was like looking at like just Twitter. I mean, not Twitter, X. Excuse me, Elon.
Don't cancel
X
us, Elon.
And Threads, and how people was really going at the mom, just like, oh man, like she's not really trying to understand his dream. She's not really trying to support Justin's dreams. All this other stuff. Man, something I really want to point out, and I feel like a lot of people, it went over a lot of people's heads. So, of course, the dad is painted as this, like, awesome dad. He's, like, super understanding and willing to listen and all this other stuff. And Justin had came to his mom and was just like, well, dad's successful. Dad has all this stuff. He's a creative. He's just like me. You don't get it. And she was like, who do you think got your dad all the funding and capital to even start his dream?
Yep.
That, I feel like, went over people's heads because she was right. She's right about that. Like, you do have to have some type of plan going into it. Like, don't get me wrong. Yes, it's great to be a dreamer. Yes, it's great to have, all these big ideals and stuff like that. But if there is no, like, foundational plan to get to that dream, to actually achieve that dream, what are we doing? And I feel like that was a little bit of a wake-up call for Justin. Because he didn't even know that. He was just like, nah, I just thought, dad became successful just because the food was so great. He was like, nah, my connections at Northwestern is what got him his initial capital to start his first restaurant. And then from then, his talent is what got us all these other different restaurants. But that was me. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't try to play me off to the side like I'm just this big bad Grinch when I literally was funding your dad's dreams low key,
And that was kind of the success and folly of her character that was scripted in the show, because his mom was so focused on that.
Mm-hmm.
That's where her and Justin, because he's more like his dad, he's more creative, so he's gonna butt heads with someone that's structure, because that seems like the death of what his creativity is.
Yep.
And I think, and it was perfect for Justin to go through that at that time of his life. It sucks because dang, I loved him and Keisha together.
Yeah.
But it's perfect for him at a young age to go through that and not be, and if you do when you're older, it's okay. You can bounce back, like we were just saying. But he, at 17, that's the perfect time to make that kind of mistake or decision. Like, and yeah, it definitely, like what you said, like, I helped him get there. Like, and the dad, I don't think they necessarily put the father in a situation to have to answer that question. And I'd imagine the way the character was.
Well, I think when you were just mentioning, like, oh, if we ever got to divorce, no, it was your mom that divorced me, not the other way around. Because he knows, like, I would be nowhere without your mom. Like, your mom is everything to me. Like, you know, so I feel like that was his way of answering that.
Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah, that's fair. Yes. Yeah, but I think to answer both, I think those were my opinions of the parents in that show. I think they did a really good job of holding a lot of things together that could have crumbled very easily. Yeah. And it also brought kind of me back in time, like, because I've been at a state, I'm an adult, I'm doing things on my own, like take it, like, how important are your parents are for you in your development. And like, he's gonna probably, that character, if they exist in real life, they're gonna rely on their parents for things in the future, and like they're gonna need and want that, like from having, hopefully parents that are, and again, the big thing I say too about Justin's mom, people be hating, but she was always willing to talk to him. And it wasn't like she just shut him down. Gosh. She was always willing to talk to him.
Exactly. And the thing
so she was nurturing too. She wasn't just this hard nosed, like, I ain't got time for you.
He was on a roller coaster of his own. He didn't really know what he wanted in life because he wasn't taking basketball seriously. And then she was like, okay, well then maybe you should quit basketball. No, I love basketball. How dare you say it? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like she kept getting painted out as a villain based off of his inconsistency. But at the same time, like, he's a teenager. Of course they don't know what they want right now. They all over the place right now.
And I think that's why her character had to lock in, like, you're doing this. Because she's seen it. She's like, bro, you're going to nowhere fast. Right
exactly.
Now. You don't even know what you want to do, right? And even when, and you kind of highlighted me, I don't know why I didn't remember it like this, but when I was like, yeah, the dad seemed super supportive of everything. And he did it in a I'm not going to say a man way, but in a way, I think, look, he in the black community, it's the look he gave him when he was like, so you want to make beats?
Yep.
And when you said that initially, I thought like, oh, he questioned him. And you were like, no, he was like, so you want to make beats? Like, yeah, black and white, like yes or no, like make the decision. Because I think maybe his dad was probably getting to the point with him too, like you starting to be inconsistent, my boy. Like I'm a creative, but I ain't inconsistent. I know what I want to do. Like figure it out. Like go to college and figure it out there, or do you want to make beats type stuff? So I do think the parents did very well. I think they helped. Even with the stuff Keisha was going through, like the mom, like owning up, like as an adult and being like, she needed a community because nobody watched out for that girl. Like, and I know that happens. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but like that's powerful. Like without the mom doing that, like you see, Keisha said, towards the end, like I'm happy that I wish I'd talked to my mom sooner.
Yeah.
But again, as kids, you think, I know all the best answers because you don't want to go through her.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that's gonna like the dad said to him, a man don't know who he is until he goes through that fire. And that goes for women as well. Like, you don't know who you are until you go through that hurt, that pain, that thing you're avoiding. who are you on the other side of it?
Yep.
Or are you just gonna be, oh, I'm scared of it? You're gonna do that for everything in life.
Yep.
And life is literally mostly hard. I promise you that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and by hard I mean it's a challenge. You may enjoy the challenge, but like you want to get your doctorates.
Yep.
That's a challenge, but you're gonna enjoy it probably.
Yeah, hopefully.
But that's not something that where I'm like, it's gonna be easy. Like,
nah.
We're playing video games. Video games are hard. like everything's hard, bro.
Yeah. Something else too, I would say, like, just talking about the dynamic of, the parents and stuff like that, and how you mentioned him, the dad being like trying to show him like, this is what a man does. This is what a man has to be. I remember there was like, Keisha had just told her mom, and Justin was like, oh, I need to go over there. And the mom was like, nah, bro, like, you go out there, you might get pulled over, whatever it is, right? She was like, nah, go let him be a man. Go do this. Go take him to the spot. Like, kind of giving him a game plan on how to do stuff. And what I felt was super powerful about that is Justin at the time was only thinking about Keisha, was not hearing nothing his mom was saying about cops or anything like that. And if you notice that scene where he's driving back from dropping off Keisha, a cop has their lights on behind him, and his heart starts beating so fast. He's like, oh my God, like, this is about to happen to me. And so when he finally gets to his house, you see him just like shaking in the car, like, oh my gosh, like, I could have just got pulled over. That could have been the end and all that other stuff. And I feel like at that point is when he like finally realized, like, dang, like, I understand what my mom was saying. Yep. I understand why she didn't want me to go out this late at night, but I also appreciate my dad for letting me do it, because this was a growing moment as a man. Like, this is what you're going to have to face as a black man in America. Like, yeah, you want to be there and comfort your girl, but guess what? On the ride home, you might encounter some ops. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you putting out your innocent, earnest self just to be the best man that you can be will be met with obstacles that you're not expecting. Mm-hmm. And I felt like that was a great example of that.
That ultimately, we can touch on this show for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
The show was excellent. If you haven't watched it, you probably should have watched it by now, because I already warned you to pause the podcast and watch it. So that's on you. Please go watch the show. I am very, 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 very happy that I spent the time watching that I had so many friends and family watch it that I could talk to. Like, and I'm telling everyone, have you watched this show? Have you watched? Like, very good, very excellent show. So many things can be taken from it. And then, if you have TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Reels, like, look up what people have to say about it, because it's super good stuff out there. And it's stuff you can learn from it, because you're not going to catch everything. There's a lot of stuff I learned from just other social media platforms. Dang, I didn't see that. Or like, but all in all, I think the show was great. I'm super happy that we got to chat about it.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
Dope.
But yeah, we've been going for a little bit now, so we're going to close this thing up. Do you have any final remarks that you want to say to the people about... Well, I don't know. Whatever. say what you want, man.
All I'm gonna say is, if you really like to listen to different perspectives, if you feel like this is like a glimpse into what other episodes could be like, and just the free flowing of the conversation is what you should continue to expect from this podcast. So if you like all those things, make sure you like and subscribe.
Yeah, to the Sonder Sounds Podcast. Episode will be airing soonish. I don't know. I'm stacking up episodes, so we're gonna do it. But yes, follow, like, and subscribe. We're on Instagram. We're on Spotify now. I'm working on getting all the other social media platforms going, so we can have some fun content. And like, look out for Charity and I. We are gonna be making some goofy little things for you guys to keep you entertained. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on the next one.